let's pretend we're getting paid by the happy pair to be here. Because I think we might as well. Because we should get some sort of commission for just being in their presence. But I'm here, of course, with the very sexy, very beautiful Matt, and we actually met yesterday just by chance, and I hadn't realised that there'd been a fire, we'll say, on the internet, as there often is, just over the good old Open Forum, which you've been running for how long? I don't know how long that's been now. It's 2006 or so? I don't know.
Sure, actually. Yeah,
right.
Good few years. About 4 years, I'd say, probably.
Well, I know you're only like 17, but you've aged quite a bit.
yeah, exactly. This is always great.
Yeah, I think we'll count the grey hairs. Then you can tell how many years you've been running the Open Forum by the grey hairs. But it's just that simple thing, as we mentioned, that to me it's like you're going to a cafe to meet other people. And people in there can be having a coffee, but some people are drunk, and some people are on acid, and some people are on ecstasy, and you've no idea. It's just conversations that suddenly somebody rears up out of the dark corners with some crazy opinion. And it's rare, which is great. It's rare that somebody really does, deliberately, we'll say, set out to upset. But it happens, which is unfortunate.
I mean, it's a community, so there's all types. So you're always going to have all extremes. You're going to have some people who are, the same mainstream as the rest of us, and then you're going to have some who are mad off to the left and some who are mad off to the right. It's kind of cool. That's the best thing about having a conversation. It's no fun if we're all the same.
Right.
But it's just important we all do it with a little modicum of respect.
Yeah, well, that's it. I do think I was thinking that too, that with this tiny slither of power, because we all have equal voice on the internet. We can all, the person who has studied a subject all their life has the same amount of space to say something as the person who just heard about it that morning and decided, you know what, I know how to fix this. So there is a degree of, with that great power, and I'd say, well, slither of power comes a slither of responsibility that you should look left and right before you cross the forum. Yeah. Or, just check the traffic and just see, is this appropriate for me to say this? And then is it actually, am I right? Am I just reacting to something and I regret it later? And
it's really cool to say something that's wrong. Right. Because if you say something that's wrong and blatantly wrong, then people can say that's not right, and people can have. The conversation's the important thing. Just as long as it's done with respect. If you say something and you don't agree with someone, and you then go off and it's funny, Godwin's law. Whenever you say that someone is Hitler, you've already lost the argument.
Right.
But that happens all the time.
Unless, of course, they are Hitler.
Okay.
It's okay to call him Hitler.
But,
I think he has said fair enough to that. A few times people call him Hitler, he says fair enough, I am Hitler.
I don't think I've added him to the fore.
Well, he could be under different names. That's the great thing about it. I think he is in there, but he's used a different name. Yeah. Him and Elvis are having banter all the time. But there is that shocking thing I find with the internet too, that somebody you find deeply attractive, you suddenly realise by their post, oh my God, either hopefully they're just drunk, or B, they may be an idiot. And that's sort of, because you do reveal a huge amount by your joking, and you do reveal a huge amount by your trivial
posts.
We do
have Chardonnay o'clock on a Friday. You're going to see that implosion coming. And sometimes I just want to run for the hills. But
when you're drunk in your pajamas, you can be anybody.
Never post when you're emotional or when you're drunk. It's never a good idea. And you can see it often. You can see the rambling. And take a step away. Just if you go off online and lose the plot with someone, you wake up tomorrow and it's going to be like the morning after.
Well, you're Donald Trump the next day. You realise the things you said and things you did actually weren't that funny and weren't appropriate, and it does reveal, and it can, obviously we're all vulnerable to, and it's okay to sort of throw out something out that didn't quite work or didn't land properly. But I think when it's persistent and it's quite aggressive, then it sort of reveals something deep down that you maybe have to deal with, because it's not about who you're talking about, but it's about you now. It's about how you see the world. And I find it funny. I say we're at the happy pair. You get somebody would post something about, this is a perfect example, I think, because we all have our different football teams, our different beliefs and what we like about the town. Some people are Joe Sweeney, some people are at the happy pair and all that. We all are. It's a great mix of people. But you'll find that the sort of implication often is in a post that basically you're saying, I don't like that place. So if somebody says, why are all those hippies outside the happy pair, with blankets, why can't they just go inside? When every bar in the whole town, people sit outside all the time. But it's just the happy pair gets chosen because that person is not crazy about the happy pair, and it's a funny revealing comment. It's not I don't like the happy pair, it's just a way of saying that in a different way. So I think we should have I've often thought we should have some sort of breathalyzer on computers that you have to blow into a tube before your password will work, and it has to sort of and it also looks at the red of your eyes, how red your eyes are at that point. You're not allowed to use your computer.
You have to type a bunch of really complicated words in a certain
There
period
you
of time.
go.
If you can't do it, you can't
And also, it would be great if Facebook introduced, a dislike button. And if you get, 10 dislikes under a minute, you get electric shock back to your computer, and it freezes you to the computer until somebody comes around and slaps you.
breathalyzer.
Yeah, but anyway, I do think it's an incredible time that we can pretty much, at the press of a button, literally share lots of good information and lots of funny stuff, and whether it's, Basil Miller fighting the man, or the Hogan brothers seem to have an endless kind of supply of lost and homeless dildos and strap-ons in their photo albums. But just those funny kind of moments it's all good. It all sort of adds up to, well, this is a town, that has all sorts of people in it with various different opinions, and that's the kick of it, is to realise that maybe, just maybe, your football team isn't the greatest, or your belief that Oasis are better than the Beatles mightn't actually ring true in the long game. So just to sort of allow for your opinion, but allow for others.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, it's never a good thing if your mind is made up before you've had a conversation, and it's okay to go into something.
But unless you're always right, like me, like I'm always right, so I find that works pretty well for me. But I know what you're saying for other people. Yeah. But okay, I think people are very, very aware ultimately of the right and wrong of it all, and in a moment of giddiness, in the middle of the night, or there are times when we let go of our senses and we just, you can sort of rip off on a tangent, but it's knowing that it is a public forum, and that you are shouting this out on the street, and that ultimately you're responsible for that. It's not like you are actually hidden. We do.
I think there are 16,000 people living in and around this area.
Yeah.
Give or take, it's going up all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
And of those 16,000 people, there are 5,000 and quite a lot waiting to get into the Greystones Open Forum.
Yeah.
And so if you say something on there's a reasonably good chance that your neighbours are going to see it,
Right.
So just have a bit of common sense, really.
Rock and roll. Oh, well, I think as I said, I think people know that that it is a kind of simple rule that you just don't pee in someone else's garden. Rock and roll. Nicely done.